Cologne is still available, Shyvana is still available, Renekton, a lot of these big pick champions that we've been highlighting are all there. And as we've seen already, SK deciding that Ziggs is scarier than a Leona. We'll have to see which of these supports gets their hands on it. I am expecting it to be picked.
Yeah, and if we look at things now, Elise got through, picked up straight away, Fnatic having no real hesitations on that front. On the other side, that leaves the Shyvana and the Renekton here for SK Gaming, and well, Freddy can play them both. Svenskeren quite happy to take the Shyvana off into the jungle.
My guess is it's time to troll. My guess, with two tanks being locked in with a Renekton and the Shyvana, we've seen Gambit going Shyvana Dr. Mundo. Fnatic responded by going Trundle. And I think it can work for them if, Renekton has already been taken away. sOAZ could pull out Karma again. I'm not convinced. It's something that he's played a few times, played it at Battle of the Atlantic, and it didn't offer the impact he wanted to. So I would expect a Trundle right now. Those two tanks also is going to give you a very clear idea that Orianna could be a pick.
Yeah.
If you put the ball on either of those initiators, you've got a very good combo, you've got a nice front line, you've got good protection for your back line, and a non-safe AD carry like Jinx. I think this is a little bit scary.
And we see it is the Thresh that will be paired in there. Jinx, Thresh is the lane for Fnatic on the blue side, along with that early. And as we said before, Jinx, the champion that Rekkles has played and done so well with in his first 2 games, not died up until now, as is YellOwStaR statistics as well. On the other side then, for SK, they've got those 2 tanky champions in there. I guess we can expect the AD carry and support to come this round, leaving that mid lane until the very last.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be the case, I think. Play it a little safer, allow yourself a counter pick. I think we're still theorizing towards Orianna, so you could even lock that in and deny that from Peke, who is a phenomenal Orianna player himself. My question for Candy Panda is, what AD carry does he want to run? Caitlyn would be a safe long-range pick, and if the Sivir comes in, the Spell Shield will help, but you've got a lot of things that can lock Sivir down. Elise can chase you, use the repel. If you get caught by a hook, you're in trouble. I'm not entirely convinced that's a good defensive pick. However, you throw down on the hunt, you add that to Shyvana and Renekton, and you can chase for days.
And Blood Boil now as well, because we've got that Nunu in there, which, if you look at the lineup now, we're thinking support, but will SK have Nunu in the jungle and a Renekton mid laner? Fnatic did it. Fnatic have played that Renekton in the mid lane.
Though. Let's be frank.
It didn't really, did it? But they have done it, so it's not out of the question completely. On the other side, Shen and Vladimir being hovered over by Fnatic. Don't ever trust YellOwStaR though in what he hovers
not
over.
yet, but you do see there is a ghost teleport being hovered, for summon spells for Peke, so that could synergize with a Vlad. Before we theorize about that, I do think this is going to be a support Nunu, and I think the idea for team fights now is not necessarily hard CC, it's to run in and out, kite. I do think we're going to see an Orianna being locked in for this mid laner, and that would then give your whole composition so much movement speed. Orianna puts down her dissonance, you get on the hunt from Sivir, you get the burnout from Shyvana, and you can just chase in and out for days. The scary thing about that is the Gragas barrel. It can knock your entire team away. Shen's locked in. I haven't seen a 2014 season Shen. Safe pick for sOAZ, and once again, demonstrating he's not really feeling this tank meta right now.
Yeah, and the fact that sOAZ hates playing Shen, we saw it actually earlier last year where sOAZ said, I'm not playing Shen, you can pick Blitzcrank YellOwStaR and you can play that Shen in the top lane, I'll play support this game. Don't think that'll be the same this time around though, I think it will be sOAZ playing the Shen in the top lane. What are SK going to be finishing off with? And Ahri is what nRated is currently stood with, so very much a get up in your face team from SK.
Very much indeed, and I think the Ahri is a different champion to Orianna, is going to be less utility, but more, I think, pick power is what they're going for. The one thing that they lack is a hard engage. You can have Shyvana diving in there, you can have Renekton diving in there, but there's no Thresh hook, there's no Cocoon, there's one charm really. So this pick, champion pick, is to counter the 4 squishy champions of Fnatic, and in those siege situations, if anyone gets caught by a charm, that's the go button. Charm lands, you throw Renekton and Shyvana on top of it. I think I prefer Fnatic's composition. I think it does better at starting fights, it's better at disengage. However, if Renekton and Shyvana get rolling, there's not a lot of Fnatic that can stop them.
Yeah, that disengage, the barrel has to be well placed to knock people away from starting things. The Flay is only going to do so much for them, so this is going to be a real interesting one. SK Gaming New lineup coming in, nRated, a new support, former Fnatic player. Just so much on the line from this one. You know, Fnatic are 2-0, and the last team they want to lose their winning streak to is definitely SK Gaming. But, guys, we're going to check out who you think will win this game. And crunching the numbers, it looks like a whopping 93% of you believe that Fnatic are going to take the win today. Wow.
There's not a whole lot I can do to say against that. It's heavily in favor, and rightfully so. For you guys sitting at home, you can let us know who you think will dominate today's games. Head over to LOLesports.com, click on schedule, vote with those thumbs up. I think 93% probably realistic, but we've seen Alliance going 0-3. We've seen Super Hard Crew picking up victories here, so you know, it could be the other way around. SK could surprise everybody. There
could be a surprise in this one, and that's what games like Fnatic versus SK seem to throw our way constantly on a regular basis. Fnatic have had the better of it recently, though, that's for sure, and we'll see if they can continue that here in this game. Here we are, in-game then, for Fnatic versus SK Gaming, the first time for at least that we'll see it this season.
Yeah, we'll have to see how nRated handles this one. When that massive backdoor happened at Katowice, he was on the team with xPeke. He was celebrating along with the rest of Fnatic, and this game, he may be on the receiving end of one of those El Classico moments. Early level, we do see Fnatic once again being involved in one of these early little trades. YellOwStaR throws up the hook. And then nRated judges that maybe he knew. He knew YellOwStaR was going to aim because of their months of experience together.
Funny thing is, we talked about it yesterday, myself and Deficio, that nRated has always been known as this master tactician at level 1. He's brought so many different ideas to different teams over the years. And that's something that Fnatic might want to kind of shove in his face and say, don't know how much preparation you've done for us, but we're going to do something funky at level 1 here. They've already got positional advantage there on the bottom side of the river. Looks to me like it could be a bit of a bait, trying to make SK feel uncomfortable, trying to put Joe off with the amount of pings that you're throwing down on the bottom side of the map. Or it could be that late invade as well.
Yeah, I think it's probably going to be the late invade. The fact that there are so many members of Fnatic grouped up around this blue buff, they want to get in there, deny that to Svenskeren, and maybe slow down his jungle presence. Typical as we start saying that, a little trinket ward gets placed down, and that's going to reveal the members of Fnatic. So they've backed away for the time being, and it does look like they're going to default to their regular lane positions right now.
Well, both nRated and Panda are in there pretty early, but they will be met as they head down by Rekkles and YellOwStaR. The up until now unkillable duo lane here for Fnatic. We see there the start for Svenskeren in the jungle with Shyvana will be over by the red buff. Cyanide also on the top side of the map here. He has been kicking things off with his blue, going a little bit lower there than what happened over the other side. This mid lane then, xPeke on Gragas versus Jesiz on the Ahri. And, you know, Ahri we also saw from the former SK mid laner Ocelot quite a lot. And while he's not there anymore, this game could still be a classic for us.
Yeah, we'll have to see how Jesiz plays this Ahri in the mid lane. I actually think that Ahri's got slightly better, you know, single target kill potential thanks to all of his spells. Land a good charm, follow up with the rest of your damage, and, you know, xPeke could be in trouble. But because of the great early wave power that xPeke's Gragas is going to have, he should be able to keep Jesiz on the back foot, maybe keep him playing a little bit defensively to mitigate some of that early level pressure that could come in.
One thing that's going to be annoying for Fnatic, I think, is the constant snowballs coming out from nRated down in that bottom lane. Saying that, though, we can see that both YellOwStaR and Rekkles making sure that they keep a lot of damage coming the way of SK Gaming. nRated obviously can sustain himself in terms of getting health back there by chomping down onto those minions, but other than that, he's going to run out of mana pretty quickly. Yeah, he's going to be relying on that visionary passive of his. After a couple of auto attacks or spell casts, he's allowed to cast another spell for free. So I think once the minion wave's with him, he can try get some auto attacks down, but it does also mean that the minion wave is going to start pushing. You'll notice now that if nRated and Panda get in range, they're going to slowly start shoving this wave a little bit towards Fnatic. But as it stands right now, that cannon minion is going to help them out. The one thing I do want to keep my eyes on in this particular matchup is how these bruisers do with no exhausts on the side of Fnatic and no exhaust on the side of SK. There are 3 ignites apiece. So this is definitely signaling we want to kill you, and we want to kill you quickly
once we get to fights.
Another interesting fact as well is like taunt landing there from sOAZ onto Freddy, which will give him a bit of free damage. Last time Fnatic played against the Shyvana in the jungle was game number 1 of the entire season against Gambit, where actually Diamond had a 37 CS average lead over the entire game over Cyanide. And we can see this time around with Elise in the jungle, Cyanide is actually spending a lot more time in terms of farming and leaving those lanes quiet for now.
Yeah, we'll see how it works out for, you know, pressure in the late game. I almost feel like Diamond Prox spent too much time in the jungle. He should have helped out in the lanes a little bit more. In talking about the lanes that need a little bit of help, Candy Panda has been smacked in the head so many times by Rekkles' rocket launcher. He keeps using that switcheroo ability, using the extended range on that rocket launcher, Fishbones I think he's called, and continually keeping Candy Panda once again playing defensively. That's an 8 CS lead already, and that could continue to grow if Rekkles keeps up this focused, you know, poke.
Svenskeren using that Shyvana's ridiculously fast movement and clear speed there to get over, steal away the Wraiths, and look at this positioning, coming right around the back of Fnatic at this point, but will they actually fall for it? Candy Panda is pretty low. They've got no, as you said before, real hard CC to lock them down, but the slows may just be enough, as we do see Shyvana coming around the side. There are the Chompers coming down, but YellOwStaR is already starting to take a lot of damage. The Boomerang not quite got the range there to get in and do more, and they managed to walk off. However, the flash was used from YellOwStaR.
Yeah, very, very crucially. I actually like the thinking from YellOwStaR. He tried to land a death sentence to actually pull himself further away from Candy Panda and nRated, but unfortunately missed the skill shot. With Summoner Spell being burned and the fact that Fnatic are still pushing this wave up, it allows them to potentially be ganked once more. Svenskeren just needs to make sure he does it in the next couple of minutes before that Summoner Spell becomes available, and ideally before they actually hit 6, when, you know, you've got the box and you've got a little bit more zone control from the Thresh.
That was Svenskeren's first appearance on the map. Up until now, Cyanide has been where a lot of people will consider Spider's best, I think, out of vision the entire time. No one likes a Spider running around, and maybe even less so SK once Cyanide finally does come out of there. He's 10 CS behind though, which is the interesting story from this too, because of the fact that Svenskeren has come out of the jungle to help, but he's still that far ahead.
And we'll see how it works out for the time being, because Cyanide has had no presence at all. You know, he moved towards the top lane. Freddy was already backing away thanks to a nice deep ward. Cyanide, not necessarily known for his super early ganks. He tends to respond wherever Fnatic need help. If a lane is under pressure or if they want to get somebody fed, that's where he tends to put himself. So for the time being, nobody on Fnatic needs the, you know, assistance of their teammates. So Cyanide is doing the best he can to farm. That early power of the burnout from Shyvana is, of course, allowing Svenskeren to farm earlier and steal camps away.
Look at Rekkles there, dodging most of the damage from that Boomerang blade. Actually, YellOwStaR threw out a flay, and there's the junglers actually meeting each other, and the damage here from Svenskeren already, knocking Cyanide pretty low, but they're going to turn this one around. Svenskeren is level 6, so does have the Dragon to escape. Won't be needed, though. Freddy had started to come down. Fnatic decide not to fight, but for how long? Look at Peke's position.
Yeah, really good burst damage there from Svenskeren, but thanks to the damage he's now taken, Peke has explosive cast, has ignite as well. Svenskeren's aware of it, I think. Svenskeren hasn't started his red. He's playing this safe, and with 2 members, Fnatic should be able to pick this one up.
Oh, Svenskeren spotted here. There's a barrel knocking him right back. Dragon was already used. This Jesiz comes in. Peke's going to go low. Finished off there. Jesiz picks that one up. Cyanide did finish off Svenskeren as he exits the jungle, but again, similar to what we saw in the last game, a split-second first blood coming in before the reply. And
such a good barrel from Peke. That explosive cask actually preventing Svenskeren's Dragon descent from getting him out to safety. The flash body slam to apply the slow, so very good play from Fnatic, but I think that because Svenskeren knew that it was coming, he called for assistance and Jesiz responded in time. So Jesiz is able to get himself on the board, get that kill with Ari, and is going to return to lane with a little bit of extra ability power, some cooldown reduction thanks to that Fiendish Codex, and he's going to try to control Peke just a little bit more.
Top lane's been very quiet so far. 61 to 57 CS, pretty much bang even up there. And sOAZ, he's been pretty vocal about the fact that he really doesn't enjoy playing Shen in his top lane. He spent a lot of time under his turret, just making sure that the last hits continue to come his way. Now it's Freddy actually diving in onto him and actually going to pop the ultimate here, so he's going to go for sOAZ. He has an ignite, but that's the thing about the top lanes like this. Both of them got mobility abilities that get him out.
Yeah, and you see that sOAZ with his shield and his dash can at least clear out. Part of the reason that's quite smart from Freddy is it gives him that nice big burst of HP. So once Dominus runs out, he's going to remain at that higher HP pool, and that just allows him to stay in lane, to CS for longer, and stick around. It's a little risky because he doesn't have a ward in the river, so if Cyanide were to gank now, there's no Dominus available, there's no vision, so it makes it a little bit more unsafe for Freddy, but I think he's having a good read on the match right now, realizing that Cyanide is not in his general vicinity.
And Cyanide's going to try and stop this pink ward being taken out here. Svenskeren, though, will be able to walk in there, and I was going to say dodges everything, but Spider's not exactly easy to get away from, but he takes the ward anyway.
Very dramatic steal of that ward, or denial of that vision.
About as exciting as ward takedowns get.
Almost as exciting as a top lane battle, actually, at this point in time.
Certainly this one.
Yeah, this particular matchup right now in terms of the duo lanes, I once again just want to draw your attention to Candy Panda CSing. He is still sitting behind, but this time round is now pushing out a little bit more from his lane. You can see he's caught up now, he's up to level 6, so his Ricochet, his Boomerang Blade is allowing him to push the wave just a little bit quicker. And you don't get the sense that Rekkles is in complete control of this lane right now, as those first opening levels where Jinx's sort of damage and range will out-sustain that of Candy Panda's Sivir.
You see Rekkles does take a bit of damage underneath the tower. Candy Panda drew that tower aggro, but no. Hit actually coming out onto him there. Cyanide is on the bottom side of the map as well. And he's just going to make sure that that dragon is warded up and not being taken away sneakily by Svenskeren.
One thing I'd like to just make you think about as we get to this mid-game, once we start seeing Fnatic roaming and rotating to try to push down towers, SK Gaming have to be a little bit careful. Their only real wave clear comes from Ahri and from Sivir, both of whom are relatively short range. Sivir's going to be relying on that Boomerang Blade and the bouncing from the ricochets. Ahri needs to get her Orb of Deception out. Whereas, if SK start to siege up, Fnatic have got pretty good wave clear. Long-range splash damage from Rekkles' Jinx, as well as those barrels from Gragas. So, you know, defense as well as offense, the wave clear sits with Fnatic, which allows them to maybe pick more of those opportunities.
It has been a bit of a slower start to this one. 11.5 minutes in currently. No dragon taken down. I kill a piece, though. And SK, if we look at the gold total there up at the top, are 500 or so in the lead at this point. And Svenskeren once again getting some deep wards in there. He wants to keep up that pressure, and the CS lead that he's actually built up at this point is at 56 to the 40 of Cyanide. Meanwhile, the mid laners are both headed back here for a bit of a shop, and looks like we're going to be seeing them coming back to lane with a little bit more to work with.
Yeah, I think this is actually pretty good decision making from both teams, to be fair. There's nice natural power curves for all of the champions involved. They all scale relatively well through the mid to the late game. And I think maybe with the exception of Shen, if he just builds tanky, not being as impactful as I feel a Renekton could be in a team fight, sOAZ is going to be able to split push and rely on that Stand United, which is a much better way of joining the fight than the use of teleport. So both of these teams comfortable to get to the mid to late game. And I think that's why we've seen very little pressure on the towers, very little focus on accelerating the game. They just want to get to a comfortable power item spike before they pick fights.
Here we go. Cyanide moving down towards the bottom lane right now. Will he be able to sneak in there? There's no ward in that brush currently. And Shyvana a long way away, which means this will be a 3-on-2 if Fnatic can get the starter to it. If they can get things rolling and get the initiation that they need to really lock down a second kill of this game for them. Actually, Rekkles pushing that wave up towards the turret, and SK will quite happily let it fall back somewhat here before they push that one back out.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think the wave is still going to push a little bit towards Fnatic unless Rekkles keeps using that splash damage. For the time being, we're going to look for that cocoon to actually start the engagement. Cyanide has committed a lot of time to this bottom lane, and it doesn't look like Rekkles has got the memo because he continues to push the wave up. There was a ward put in that secondary bush, so if Cyanide had pushed a little further up, yeah, have been given away his position and fortunately decides to back away. So that's about 30 or 40 seconds, for all intents and purposes, wasted right now.
And you know, there's always the theory of you push the wave to make them think that there's no one there, but if you do it 2 or 3 times, that guy in the brush is kind of just wasting his time. However, it does mean that they've got a little bit more of a resource to work with down on the bottom side for the Dragon, and that is a sneaky Dragon, my friends.
Very good decision making. What was great about that is if SK had any vision there, you've seen YellOwStaR coming into the pit, basically hugging the wall, and then pulling Elise in with the use of that lantern. So you're never going to think, hey, a support's going to take the Dragon. You can start theorizing your junglers nearby, but a nice early pickup for Fnatic. They are still only 200 or 300 gold ahead of SK Gaming right now, but they have the timer on the Dragon. They can set up vision wards in the next sort of 3.5, 4 minutes, so it's ready for the next respawn, and then get themselves into a position to challenge.
Actually swings the gold back over in Fnatic's favour. They're now sat at 300. The advantage as both mid laners get their blue buff. Should talk about their items now because they're both finished off their first big pickups. Athene's Unholy Grail for Peke and the Deathfire Grasp over for Jesiz. So he's going to be looking to burst that single target down. And for him, he'll be probably hoping that that person is Peke.
Yeah, Peke or Rekkles, I think, once we start seeing these next Dragon fights. And I almost prefer an Ahri in this situation as opposed to a LeBlanc, because I think that not only is Ahri maybe a little bit safer with 3 charges. Oh, they've caught Jesiz!
There's a barrel coming in, and we've got Elise there as well. And actually, Jesiz using a charge to try and get away. Peke completely predicting that one. The barrel rolls in, and just as we were talking about the DFG and the ability for Jesiz to single someone out, Fnatic counter it with a kill. Very
well played by Cyanide. Just that additional burst in the spider form in conjunction with Peke's Gragas allows them to secure that one. And another kill sitting for Fnatic. So they're 2-1 up as far as the kills are concerned. Jez is going to be a little bit more cautious, maybe actually even warding up that sort of Wraith Bush area. We've seen a ward earlier from Svenskeren, and he went to clear out a pink ward that was there. Peke doesn't have cask available, but they're going to go on Freddy.
A big man coming into this top lane. Freddy down at half HP. Flash comes in. This is going to be a dive, though, for Fnatic. sOAZ just sat there tanking it up, but he realizes, you know what, we don't have the damage for this one. Svenskeren dives right down the middle of them, but Peke going to be slowly grinded upon. There is Stan United. Actually, the stun coming down won't allow sOAZ to follow through, but Cyanide is now there as well. sOAZ is still alive. Peke is still alive. There is a repel. They've gone back in for some reason, and Svenskeren now going to try and chase down Cyanide, giving a bit more damage back, and somehow Fnatic pull those 2 low health members out of there.
Nobody dies in that situation. It was just Fnatic realizing they needed to back away. Luckily, having the 3v2 advantage forced Freddy and Svenskeren to be a little bit more hesitant about diving, about continuing the chase, and that is what allowed Fnatic to get away. It was a brave move stepping back forward for sOAZ, but it worked in his favor because the barrel was right on top of him. He put a big signal for SK saying, if you want to go for sOAZ, you need to take more poke. My body slam should be available and cooldown, and, you know, calling your bluff, basically. At the end of the day, nobody goes down. While it was happening, there was also a lot of movement in the bottom lane. So we may have to keep our eyes on Candy Panda and nRated versus Rekkles and YellOwStaR. They were moving towards the river, putting a lot of wards down. That's a ring of vision that YellOwStaR is putting down in anticipation of ganks and rotation, or roams rather, from Jesiz Ahri.
There was the hook coming out from YellOwStaR. Well, nRated simply just dodging away from that one. Here is Cyanide making a return to the top lane. And we're going to see Svenskeren doing exactly the same in here as well. They tried to dive last time around. It cost them a lot of health and almost 2 lives. Are they going to go for that one again? It doesn't look like it. Cyanide has backed off.
Yeah, in that previous dive, I think Peke, they overestimated the damage they were going to put down. There was no explosive cost available, and it didn't catch out, unfortunately. Svenskeren is still hanging around in the top lane, while Rekkles is getting a lot of damage on the tower. Great spell shield from Candy Panda.
Perfectly timed. Here comes the absolute zero. The flame chompers are at the back. nRated goes low. There's a kill from Rekkles. And again, we see the super mega death rocket paying dividends for Rekkles. They get that kill. Are they going to be able to force the turret down, though, with this wave? The wave is coming up there behind them. We see Candy Panda at just over half HP. He's got a Vamp Scepter to try and bring some of that HP back, but I feel he has to back off with the CC that YellOwStaR could throw his way.
Yeah, there's nothing that he can really do. Now, Get Excited from Rekkles may get him in range to put some damage down. Great spell shield, but if the hook had come immediately after, that would have caught Candy Panda. Freddy has no dominance available, and he dodges. That was close. Let me rephrase. Cyanide
He didn't
missed.
dodge it, yeah.
Yeah, Cyanide missed that one. They've caught Candy.
They have caught Candy. Panda, have they got the damage to finish him off? Yes, they have, just about. Rekkles gets that one. The movement speed going to send him packing as Svenskeren tries to chase down. And I tell you what, Svenskeren needs to be a little careful there. They realized that Nunu was coming back into lane, though, and decide enough is enough for us there. Again, Rekkles 2-0-0.
Great coordination between those two. YellOwStaR was backing away down the lane, used the lantern to save Rekkles. Now, we'll talk about that in a second as you see Cyanide is hanging around by the Wraith Bush. If the explosive cask knocks Jesiz towards the lane, Cyanide could jump in there. He should just smite this and steal it away. Doesn't even need to.
Doesn't even need to. Svenskeren going to go aggressive onto him. There was... Oh, I was going to say the push coming in, and there's the barrel. Wow! That combo from xPeke. I thought the ultimate had come out at first when half health was gone, but no, that was just the combo of the body slam and the barrel rolling in onto him. That's the power of this Gragas right now. Svenskeren and Cyanide again going head-to-head in the jungle.
Cyanide realizes that Peke can respond and back him up, and that's why Cyanide's playing so brave in that particular situation. Thanks to getting the bottom tower, YellOwStaR and Rekkles now start the snowball rolling. They roam to mid lane. They get the tower, and you know, when you've got a rod that's needlessly large, that's where Peke's burst is going to come from, hitting every single ability and barrel. This is going to be another tower for Fnatic.
Jinx on towers is never a good sign. Absolutely ripping through there with the items that he's actually got. And we can see that Fnatic going to back away. There's a blue buff for the taking there. We'll see who that actually goes to. You expect it is Cyanide's. Yep. SK actually sat in the tri-bush there, maybe trying to set something up, but Dragon is live. 2 turrets have gone down in that mid lane. The kills went Fnatic's way, and SK, this is going to have to be a steal for them possibly. No, they're going to muscle in there. Stand
United is available for sOAZ, so if Cyanide were to go in and try to steal this one, we could see sOAZ channeling on him. They've caught nRated!
They've caught nRated. Chomper's going down, the box is in position. He's dead. Svenskeren dives in, but he's far too low for that one, and Fnatic may want to keep chasing through from this one. sOAZ at the front. Let's see if he can land it. There's a barrel from Peke to the side. This is going to be a whitewash. Freddy just about getting away, but Rekkles and Peke continue to chase. Oh, so low. And there's a finisher. Jinx again coming up big. And sOAZ is not done yet. Ulti pop by Candy Panda to get him out of taunt range. 4 for nothing.
The rest of Fnatic are just going to turn around. If they stick on this tower, they can pick it up, alternatively fall back to the Dragon, and all it boils down to is better positioning and better initiation power. The hook there landed. The only initiation that SK has here is a charm. That's the only CC they have to offer. The rest of it is running around, running in circles and trying to prolong a team fight to win. SK cannot afford to get caught out. They cannot afford to be the ones initiated upon because they don't react well enough to it.
I don't want to be a bit of a curse here for both Rekkles and YellOwStaR, but they still haven't died this season in the LCS. Let's watch that fire Dragon again.
And this is the same case. nRated caught out by that death sentence that we talked about. The only ability that SK Gaming has to lock people in place is the charm. And thanks to Peke, great read of the situation, lands the cask, knocking both Freddy and Jesiz towards his team. There's nothing that SK could do. Rekkles even gets in range thanks to Fishbones and lands that last auto attack. I mean, fact of the matter is, SK are now 6,000 gold down. They've lost 2 dragons in a row. They're 2 towers down, and now Freddy's in trouble.
Look how confident Fnatic are playing this one as well. There's a hook coming out. Will land onto him. Chompers are down. Actually flashed away from by Freddy. Probably needed to do that there. I think they would have had the damage to finish off, especially with Rekkles' ultimate up.
Yeah, if the Chompers had held him in place for 1 or 2 more auto attacks, plus the execution on that Super Mega Death Rocket, that definitely would have finished him off. He's got a fair amount of armor right now, but Sunfire Cape still not completed. Does have Dominus available, but no flash if YellOwStaR were to land yet another death sentence.
Look how fast they're pushing through these waves now. And he's going to have to try and hold this one here, Freddy. Svenskeren's actually on the side of things, but look at Rekkles. Look at that tower and its health. Or no health, I should probably is more to the point. That goes down super quickly, and they can continue to push here.
Look at the rest of Fnatic. They've caught 2 SK.
Oh, is there a barrel coming in here from Peke from the side? Surely will do at some point. Jesiz is at half HP. There's the barrel. It actually knocks Jesiz away from things, but Rekkles picked up the kill nonetheless onto Freddy, and that that is turret number 5 going down here for Fnatic.
Now we do see Candy Panda and nRated trying to do some form of split push, but this is 2 members against sOAZ. sOAZ should be able to tank up a little bit of damage. The rest of Fnatic, they're on the inhibitor turret.
Yeah, and are they going to stop from this one? The minions actually not really there with them, but the damage that they can throw down here is absolutely unstoppable. The bottom lane, there's no way you can get past sOAZ to take the tower when he can just taunt you into it up there. Charm actually landing here onto xPeke. That could be dangerous for him. A hook lands onto Svenskeren. He gets played back. Here comes Rekkles once again, and it's xPeke actually with the ignite that picks that one up. But they get the inhib. They go back. Meanwhile, down at the bottom lane, not only couldn't SK push that turret down, but they couldn't survive the push back from Fnatic. They lost nRated in the process.
Cyanide and sOAZ able to defend the tower, pick themselves up a kill. Fnatic are 12-1 up right now, and part of the reason they've got so much control, and part of the reason that they're doing so incredibly well here, is the attack speed that comes out of Jinx. We'll get to that in a second, as long story short, nRated just gets caught by too much CC. Very good repel from Cyanide, just lands that last little venomous bite, and you know, SK were trying to recall, SK were trying to get back when they were caught out. If you look at Jinx when she's got a minigun out and shooting down, there's a massive attack speed boost that gets added with each consecutive shot, and it allows you to shred through towers. Candy Panda, I'm sorry dude, you're dead.
Yeah, he's got a spell shield, but that's only going to block one for him. It actually turns out pretty decent until the fat man arrives from the side. xPeke gets one, the other one goes over to Cyanide. That's another turret, I'm afraid.
A little bit, well, a lot overextended. There was no vision for SK. Candy Panda shouldn't have been there. Candy Panda should not have been that far up, knowing how far ahead Fnatic are, knowing how little control they have over the map. And I think SK almost got lulled into thinking, well, they got our inhibitor, they got the towers, surely they've recalled, surely they've backed off to spend those copious amounts of gold that they've earned. sOAZ recalling right in front of Svenskeren, can't even challenge. If we actually take a look at the gold differences between these individual lanes, there's one death on the board here for xPeke, and it's in the mid lane. And he is currently 3,000 gold ahead of Jesiz. Rekkles, on the other hand, you're sitting, what's that, 4,000, if my math isn't terrible? Well, 3.5. Massive numbers. Arithmetic. I don't know why I do it. It's not worth it. But that just tells your story. And if you're a full item or a full ingredient behind, you are so much harder pressed to win team fights.
We're only 25 minutes into this game as well, let's not forget. 14-1 in kills. That's a pretty ridiculous total to have here at this level of the game. 7-1 in turrets. The gold is just miles ahead for Fnatic, and they are going to keep pushing.
I don't know what Svenskeren is doing. Unless he wants to pick a fight coming in from the side, all he's done is given Fnatic free time to deal damage to this turret. Svenskeren is still floating outside. They've caught Jesiz.
They're going straight in there. Barrel comes down. Jesiz actually falls there to Rekkles. That's going to mean he can get in. Super Mega Death Rocket comes through. It's actually an auto attack that gets that one. Double kill coming down. Another one will be picked up by Cyanide. Hook gonna miss, but it doesn't matter. Candy Panda's not gonna escape. Oh, smart. Pulls the barrier. Zap comes through, but not got the range. Fnatic don't care. They want the tower.
Now they're going to be able to pick this one up. They can get onto the inhibitor as well. There are super minions up in the top lane and 3 members still down, but there's only 15-second death timers right now. It is still 26 minutes into this game. Fnatic need to be a little bit careful if they decide to stick around. I think wisely, backing away is the right decision. They were low on HP. They do not want to give up those massive kill bonus sprees over to SK Gaming. And when you consider the only member to have died is xPeke, that's a good decision, and this is basically how it starts. Look at the damage that gets caught to Jesiz. Even though they don't, connect the hook with him, the zap, auto attack, and explosive cast. I mean, that's 3 abilities. Basically kills him from the fight immediately, and it's just a cleaning crew. They came in like a wrecking ball, quite literally, and Rekkles just wrecked them under the tower.
Wow, you really wrecked that one, didn't you? Rekkles, this was actually pretty smart, pretty awesome from Candy Panda, but in the end didn't quite make
awesome runaway.
Didn't make that much of a difference, yeah, is what I guess I'm trying to say with that one. But fighting an uphill battle, I think, is maybe even a slight understatement here from SK's side of things. Looking down the scoreboard, 9 assists for sOAZ, not been able to pick up any kills, but he's not died either. 5-0-4 on Cyanide, 4-1-5 on xPeke. Again, Rekkles, 8-0-3. And YellOwStaR, 0-0-11.
For the record, Rekkles and YellOwStaR, still 0 deaths between the two of them over 3 games in the LCS against Gambit, Alliance, and SK Gaming. You talked about this being an uphill battle for SK. That hill is Mount Everest right now. 15,000 gold down. They have no control over the map. They can barely get into their own jungle. They've got their own blue buff, which is great, and they're diving on sOAZ, and it's not going to be enough.
Yeah, actually, they've got Rekkles in there as well, but Svenskeren may have bitten off a little bit more than he can chew. They're going to just focus him straight out of there. Peke gets that kill. Rekkles going to keep chasing through. Can they grab anyone else? YellOwStaR queues up the hook, but Freddy flashed it.
That definitely would have connected as well. If that flash hadn't come down, Freddy would have been caught and pulled backwards. Now, with Super Minions still pushing the top lane, I believe, as well as in the middle lane, they're going to focus their attention on bottom. sOAZ can recall, heal, and join the fight on whoever dives with that Stand United, and I'm expecting that to be the story. They're actually doing it on Rekkles.
What comes through? Stand United is there. They're going to go for Freddy first of all. No, they're not. They're going to the backline. There goes the ultimate out of Rekkles. He picks himself the 9th kill of the game, and he's going to keep chasing it onto Freddy, who's got his ultimate running, but that won't be enough to save his life. It's Peke that picks that one up, and Fnatic want more kills. The taunt landing on towards Jesiz. Peke is keeping him on the fountain and pulling him off the fountain. There's another one for Rekkles. Svenskeren gets back on, but the hook lands onto him. There's the kill coming back onto sOAZ from the laser on the fountain, but it doesn't matter. That's the ace for Fnatic. And in the first El Classico of the 2014 season, Fnatic absolutely wiped the floor with SK Gaming.
There is very little to say about this game with the exception of get wrecked. Fnatic once again demonstrating crisp, clear communication, rotating for objectives, pushing lanes. Tower after tower fell, and I really feel that Jinx is a ban-worthy champion against this Fnatic squad. It offers everything. You've got wave clear, you've got tower killing power, you have CC. I mean, you have to put Rekkles on a different champion. Yeah, he's still going to do well, but you're not going to get quite as wrecked, basically. I know I'm saying, dude, he hasn't died in 3 games. I mean, he truly is that good. I really believe it's that deserved.
Well, we wondered how the hype was going to fit to his performance, whether the points were going to cross on that one. I think a few of those questions have already been answered with the game. Just to run through his scores from the first 3 games here: 8-0-9 against Gambit, 7-0-5 against Alliance, and here 11-0-6 against SK Gaming. YellOwStaR, 0-0-15 as Annie, 1-0-8 as Leona, and 0-0-16 as Thresh. Their KDA between them is just not even funny anymore. I
also owe YellOwStaR basically an apology for one thing. I did not rate him very highly as a support in the summer split of the LCS. When he transitioned to that position and Pushu took over an AD carry, I felt he got caught too often, and I wasn't feeling his impact in games. Battle Atlantic things stepped up, and now in the LCS, these last 3 matches, YellOwStaR is a massive part of the reason Rekkles is doing so well. His zoning is the best I've seen out of any support. Yesterday on Annie, he kept Genji and Edward completely at bay. Now on Thresh, once again, the threat of the hooks, and he lands so many of them at key points. I feel that YellOwStaR has stepped up his support game immensely over the course of the last few months, and that is a terrifying bottom lane here in Europe.
Someone that we've overlooked a little bit just because of those ridiculous scores from the bottom lane is sOAZ in the top lane. Mr. Reliable he wasn't. When he had bad games, Fnatic tended not to do so well. If you look at his playing Trundle in the first game, doing so well with him, brought out the Renekton, not a champion that he really liked to play in the past. Bringing out Shen here, a champion which he's openly gone out to avoid by playing a support Blitzcrank in the summer split. He has stepped his game up here and really adapted to what the team needs right now.
And it's an interesting adaptation because he hasn't tried to fit with the meta. He's going to champions that he's comfortable with that sort of work within this one. I still feel like if he were playing champions like a Shyvana, Dr. Mundo, he could probably even do a similar position, maybe even better. But you know what? It's working for them. The Trundle pick was phenomenal. I think they can pull that out now at any time as well. If you see those tanks coming in and you need that Pillar of Ice for some zone control, it works with the composition. So it's great to have that in your pocket. And it's also good to show everybody else, Shen still works. Yeah. When the rest of your team gets super far ahead. But he can still fit, he can still work. If they'd shut him down harder or the other lanes hadn't fallen so far behind, maybe he would have been outscaled. But the game didn't go that far.
Well, we're all wondering Who's going to stop Fnatic and when that'll be? We'll be finding that out in what looks like the coming weeks, maybe, the way that Fnatic have been playing the last 2 days. Guys, we're going to be AFK for just a moment, but when we return, Shox and Demon will be talking to Rekkles from Fnatic. And then it's time for RNA's Millennium to battle Diamond and Gambit. Will Millennium